I chased Peter for 10 years, but eventually felt that it was all meaningless. I gave up on him and got together with Kevin, who liked me. Kevin set off fireworks across the entire city one night and bought an island to propose to me. But on the eve of our wedding, he disappeared. When I found him, I overheard him sneering to someone. I intentionally disgusted Peter to pursue Sharon. I found it boring once I had her in my grasp. But I couldn't bear it, so I ran off before the wedding to embarrass her. Isn't that fun? So, I called off the wedding first, leaving him to become the laughingstock of the city. Later, I heard that the proud heir of a wealthy family had searched all of City B but couldn't find his missing bride. Chapter 1. A month before the wedding, Kevin disappeared, and I searched the entire city but couldn't find him. On the 7th day of his disappearance, I received a message saying he was spotted in City S. I flew over there overnight. On a ship, I finally saw him. As I was about to knock on the door to enter, I heard his mocking laughter. I intentionally disgusted Peter to pursue Sharon. I found it boring once I had her in my grasp. I froze in my tracks. He didn't seem drunk, but rather very clear-headed. So, something very inappropriate came out of his mouth. And after tasting her, I found it quite dull. There was a murmur of ambiguous laughter around. It had to be Kevin, who conquered the unattainable flower. Kevin seemed to enjoy the compliments, continuing. Although she pursued Peter desperately before, she's pure to the extreme. Too bad. Too bad for what? Kevin took a slow drag on his cigarette. It's a pity that although I was her first man, I wasn't the first man she liked. She liked Peter for 10 years, who knows if her heart is pure. If it weren't for being archenemies with Peter, thinking of pursuing Sharon to provoke him, I wouldn't have had to act out the silent, devoted lover role. Someone joked. You've been together for 3 years now, Kevin, why are you starting to regret now? Kevin looked annoyed, his voice cold. It's because I chased her for so long that I feel unwilling to let go. Someone in the crowd continued. She was looking for you everywhere and almost went crazy. You disappeared for so many days. Are you okay? Kevin took a drag on his cigarette, blowing out a cloud of smoke, sneering. Isn't it fun to embarrass her by running off before the wedding? I didn't see a hint of guilt, pity, or love in his expression. Only the satisfaction of revenge. Finally, the day had come. My fingertips sank into my palm, my heart felt like it was being pricked by needles, the pain suffocating. I always thought Kevin would be my redemption and my destination. I made sure that my feelings for him were not just touched, but genuine before agreeing to be with him. That day, he joyfully set off fireworks across the city. After being together for 3 years, he bought an island in my name to propose to me, filling the sky with sky lanterns. I thought it was love, it was romantic. Little did I know, it was all a play he orchestrated for revenge against Peter. So, all those years of deep affection and help were just an act? Chapter 2. In a daze, memories flooded back. At the age of 12, I was brought back from a small town in the south, feeling cramped, insecure, and timid. Back then, Peter only shielded me from bullying, and I fell in love with him beyond repair. I chased him until everyone knew. But he detested me to the core. Eventually, I found it all meaningless and gave up on him. I saw Kevin, who had silently protected me all along. On a rainy night, he held an umbrella over me. He said, Sharon, I don't ask you to see me, I only ask you to be free and follow your heart. How ridiculous. I cleaned out my heart, welcoming Kevin's arrival. As I gradually fell into his tenderness. As I began to fantasize about a sweet future with him. Little did I know, I was giving him an opportunity to stab me in the heart. One cut at a time. Blood flowing. A sharp pain in my nose, uncontrollable tears in my eyes. A tear fell, quickly wiped away. The voices inside me kept going, all suggesting ideas for him. To take revenge on a woman, it's natural to make her fall into the abyss when she's happiest, isn't that more interesting? Yes, so Kevin, you should go back to help her choose a wedding dress, you should be there when she sends out invitations. You should act like nothing is wrong, and then on the day of the wedding, leave her embarrassed and alone. I bet Sharon will go crazy. All filled with disgusting laughter. I suppressed the nausea, waiting for Kevin's response. How much I wish to hear from his own lips. Stop kidding, I love Sharon. Or perhaps. This is too much for a girl. But after a long silence, I heard Kevin calmly agreeing. That's a good idea, let's go with that. An endless rage almost suffocated me. I forced out a bitter smile, but tears continued to flow shamelessly. Kevin, do you want to play? Then I'll play along with you. I really want to see the expression on your face when you find out I've run away on our wedding day. Chapter 3. I erased all traces of going to City S and returned to the wedding room with Kevin. I took out the gifts he had given me over the years and cut them up one by one. It's strange. I didn't think of anything, so why are there so many tears? I once heard a saying. Heartbreak is like getting rheumatism, there's nothing during the sunny day. But at night, the dampness seeps into your bones, and the pain is unbearable. Perhaps this is just my withdrawal reaction. I got up and spread the custom-made wedding dress on the floor. Expressionless, I cut a tear with scissors. I need to remind myself. Relationships are like this, once there are cracks, no matter how you try to mend them, you can never go back to the beginning. After tidying everything up, I put these things in the study, where Kevin rarely went. Lying in bed, unable to sleep, scrolling through short videos, I stumbled upon a post by someone I might know. The name was Emi, who loves Kevin. Almost involuntarily, I clicked on it. It was a record of a girl secretly loving a boy. The latest post had her location tagged in City S. Caption, in love with a man for 10 years, he's getting married next month. I want to gather the courage to confess, cheer me on. In her picture, I saw a familiar hand. There was still a wedding ring on the ring finger. It was Kevin. Chapter 4. I didn't receive a message from Kevin, but I got a call from Peter. Guess who I ran into in City S? Peter, I don't care. Stop calling me from different numbers. As I was about to hang up, I heard the smugness underlying his voice. Sharon, why do you think Kevin disappeared for so long? Don't you understand? He doesn't want to marry you. He was just getting close to you to get back at me. He's not someone you can trust. What are you trying to say? I was starting to get impatient. Sharon, at least besides you liking me for 10 years, there hasn't been another girl around me. I sat up, raising my voice. Peter, this is intentional, isn't it? 5 years have passed, and you're still so eager to sow discord between me and him. But I tell you, no matter what, this is my choice, I'm willing to bet and lose, never turning back. Peter fell silent for a moment and answered evasively. I've sent you something, you might be interested in it. After hanging up the phone, I received a video. In the dim light, a girl and Kevin stood facing each other. He blew a smoke ring, looking as indifferent as ever. Amid cheers, the girl tiptoed and kissed his lips. And he didn't dodge. The video ended there. I opened the girl's social media account. There was an updated post. Why not count it as a success? The picture showed the two of them kissing. Feeling nauseous, I ran to the bathroom and dry heaved into the toilet for a long time. Only then did I remember, it had been a whole day since I last ate, what could I possibly vomit out? At this moment, my stomach cramps were unbearable. I struggled through the pain and collapsed into bed, curling up. Suddenly, I remembered the night Kevin and I defined our relationship, when in the middle of the night, I wanted to see the stars on the mountaintop. Without a word, he indulged my little whims, driving me to the mountaintop at night. In the cool night, he gently held me, his warmth transferring to me. He leaned in and cautiously asked. The moonlight is so beautiful, Sharon, can I kiss you? But ultimately, it was impossible to go back. Half asleep, I heard movement in the living room in the middle of the night. I broke out in a cold sweat, too weak to get up. The next moment, the bedroom light turned on. The glaring light made it hard to open my eyes. I heard Kevin's anxious voice. Sharon, what's wrong with you? Chapter 5. I woke up in the hospital at 7 a.m. Seeing Kevin holding my hand, looking worn out as if he had been watching over me all night. He got up to pour me some water. You're mistreating yourself like this when I'm not around? Your stomach has always been weak, this is like risking your life, isn't it? He questioned me. Look how ridiculous. Throughout this week of looking for him, I couldn't eat or sleep, losing 5 pounds. I kept thinking maybe Kevin had offended someone in business and was being held captive. Anxious and frightened, unable to sleep every night, tears wetting my pillow. But he was carefree elsewhere, kissing a young girl. Not talking? Kevin's eyes held a smile as he pinched my face. You know I'll punish you, right? All right, get up and eat something. Honey, I'll go back and make you some porridge. Haven't slept all night. He acted as if nothing had happened, helping me up and feeding me spoonful by spoonful. Several times I wanted to ask him, Kevin, are you tired of acting? Or tell him, Kevin, I overheard your conversation, if you don't want to get married, we can cancel the wedding right away, we haven't gotten the marriage certificate anyway. But I swallowed my words. I also wanted to know, after loving each other for so many years, why would he treat me like this? Just because I once liked someone else, do I not deserve love anymore? Chapter 6. Sweetie, why are you crying? He set down the bowl and hurriedly wiped away my tears. I was wrong, husband was wrong, okay? I lowered my gaze, slowly closed my eyes, and fell into Kevin's embrace. He gently stroked my back, starting to explain. Darling, I'm sorry for making you worry. I was just a bit too excited, knowing I was going to marry you. For a moment, I couldn't believe it, I thought it was a dream, so I wanted to wake myself up. Sorry for not telling you in advance. Will you forgive me? Lies. And in 20 days, we'll be getting married. During this time, I will stay at home and accompany you well, let you be my most beautiful bride, okay? But Kevin, we don't have a future together. He wiped away the tears on my cheek with his fingertip. When those peach blossom eyes look at you, you might think he's so affectionate. I'll go out for a smoke, we'll leave the hospital in a bit. Maybe Kevin is too confident in me. Or maybe he's not afraid I'll overthink, after all, he's just fulfilling what his buddies said, putting on a show of affection. So, I picked up his phone that kept receiving notifications. The password was my birthday. I've always known it, but I've never checked. Opening the phone, a girl named Peach Blossom had sent many messages. They were from yesterday. Kevin, it's so late, go back early to rest. I heard Kevin is getting married, can you send me an invitation? I want to share the joy. I saw you holding your stomach when I got off the plane, feeling unwell. I made millet porridge for you overnight, good for your stomach. Quick, praise me. He didn't reply to the previous messages, only this one. He replied, deliver it to this address. I glanced at the pink thermos box on the table and felt nauseous again. The girl continued to message. Are you sick? Is it serious? Do you want me to come to the hospital and keep you company? The porridge is finished, I'll go back to make more. Kevin, take care of yourself. Sitting in the lobby all night, my legs have gone numb, and my stomach hurts so much during my period. I turned off my phone and set the messages as unread. Then I got out of bed. In the lobby, I saw Kevin. And the girl from yesterday. Chapter 7. Through the crowd, I quietly watched them chatting and laughing. The girl was dancing around excitedly, her ponytail bouncing. Not sure what they were talking about, she pouted, touched her stomach, and Kevin reached out to ruffle her hair. For a moment, I felt like I was spying on someone's mistress. From the kiss last night to him ruffling her hair today. It seems Kevin quite likes her. Makes sense. Who wouldn't like someone who silently treats them well, expecting nothing in return, with eyes full of admiration for them? I chuckled self-deprecatingly. Turning the corner, I saw Peter. He emerged from the shadows, his gaze sharp as he looked towards Kevin. Is this the opponent you've chosen for me? I stared back at him. Don't flatter yourself. Sharon, why did you stop pursuing me back then? I found it somewhat absurd. I pursued him for 10 years, wasn't that enough? Ever since I stopped chasing him, he started trying to make his presence known more often. Maybe he didn't really like me either, just like Kevin, he's just unwilling to let go. Even so, are you still going to get married? Peter asked me. I pursed my lips. Take care of your own business. I've given up on you a long time ago, I really don't want to see you. We passed by each other. Peter asked. Even if he's involved with someone else, you don't mind? It does bother me, I pressed down on the spot over my heart. It hurts a bit. But I know, one day it will be okay. 20 more days, Sharon, endure. Chapter 8. On the way back home with Kevin, I told him that the custom-made wedding dress got accidentally ruined by me. Does this mean something bad is going to happen? I quietly observed his expression. Just a slight furrow of his brow, and he turned to hold my hand, smiling as gently as ever. Shall we go see the wedding dress again tomorrow? The wedding dress, custom-made over half a year by my favorite designer, was truly unique. It had just been returned a week ago, and it looked great on me. Kevin happened to be missing when I tried it on. I didn't want it anymore. Regretful? I have no regrets. Kevin, are you ready to play? This is just the beginning. Chapter 9. The next day, as we picked out a new wedding dress, the finished product naturally didn't quite fit right. I intentionally made Kevin accompany me for a whole day, but we didn't find anything suitable. On our way back, I sighed. What a pity, it's all my fault. Kevin chuckled. It's okay, take your time. I stared into his eyes. Kevin, the wedding dress is ruined. How about we just not get married? Suddenly hitting the brakes, I was carried forward by inertia. I bumped into Kevin's hand, and he protected me. Are you okay? I shook my head, pretending to ask. What's wrong? I was just joking. He tightly squeezed my hand, pulling me into a hug. Baby, I can't handle this joke, don't you know how long I've been waiting for this day? Is that so? But Kevin, wasn't this something you both agreed upon? Accompanying me to pick out a wedding dress, helping me with the invitations, creating happy memories together, only to stab me in the back later. I was just giving you a chance. What are you afraid of? Back at home in the evening, the door had just closed, and before I could even take off my shoes, Kevin hugged me against the cabinet in the hallway. His scorching body embraced me, and an overwhelming cascade of kisses fell upon me. Eager to release emotions, I dodged away, gently pushing him back. Kevin, I'm not feeling well, I don't want to do this. The words of dampening his enthusiasm hit like an arrow on a taut string, his body stiffened, as if trying hard to see something on my face. After a moment, he sighed, holding me in his arms, gently rubbing my stomach. Is your stomach still hurting? I neither nodded nor shook my head. His kiss landed on my hair. Just sit for a while, I'll take a shower and then make dinner for you. The phone kept flashing nearby. I unlocked it, seeing a message from that girl. Kevin, I still haven't received my invitation. Oh, your mother asked me to go to your company tomorrow. My resume has been approved, I'm awesome. I hope everything goes smoothly so I can see you every day, and I can help you deliver lunch, made by me personally. I gently placed it back. Then I opened my wedding preparation diary. I wrote, wedding countdown 19 days, today Kevin and I went to pick out wedding dresses. What a pity, none of them fit well, maybe it's because he lost too much weight recently, but it doesn't matter. Just thinking about becoming his bride makes me so happy, is he feeling the same way as me? Flipping back, I added the little incidents that happened during this time. Wedding countdown 30 days, Kevin disappeared, I couldn't find him. I repeatedly watched our wedding planning scene on the tablet, cried all night, my eyes were swollen. Wedding countdown 20 days, Kevin came back, I was too unreasonable, did I force him too tightly and make him pre-wedding jitters? It's my fault, I shouldn't have done that, I just love him too much. These will be the most heart-wrenching gifts I will give him in the future. Chapter 10. The final wedding dress was chosen by Kevin, he said this time. Let's make do for now, he has already spent a lot of money to have a new wedding dress custom made by a master. We will wear it when we have our wedding on the small island. Oh, that island was bought by Kevin when he proposed to me, named after me. How ironic. Back then, during the proposal, the one who finally got what he wanted was him. Now that the wedding is approaching, the one who wants to run away and embarrass me is also him. Kevin, can you tell me, is it really that difficult to find a sincere heart in this world? I saw another update from that girl, work went smoothly. Kevin kept me by his side, getting closer to being a male god. The picture was a sneak shot of Kevin in a meeting. I took screenshots of everything. And wrote, wedding countdown 17 days, the moon over the sea is the moon in the sky, the person in front of me is the person in my heart. But few people know, the next line of this poem is, the heart has always been a spectator's heart, but the person is a character in the play. But it's all just a fleeting dream. I insist on weaving a happy dream for him, and then let him fall deeply into the abyss. So in the past week, I made Kevin accompany me to do many things. The details of the wedding, this time I did not participate at all, I let Kevin handle it with the planning company. I want him to understand every aspect of it. Even the smallest bouquet of flowers, I want him to know where it comes from. I want him to be more clear than me about every process, precise to every minute of what needs to be done. He hugged me and joked. Wife, marrying you is really a big project. I laughed. Kevin, with such a big project, putting in so much effort, you won't run away on the wedding day, will you? He fell silent for a moment, not saying anything. After a while, he hugged me tightly. Wife, how could I possibly run away? I love you to death. My cute him, still posted in their friends group, planning a wedding is really exhausting, so running away on the wedding day would be even more fun, right? Leave a mess behind. Let all the close ones lose face. This is the revenge Kevin wants. I didn't say anything, just pulled him to write the invitations. In fact, the invitations had already been sent out, but I suggested sending them out again to our closest friends. He personally picked up the pen, and I personally sealed the envelopes. I had him write. Looking forward to the sunrise, thoughts at sunset, all encounters are sweet. Smiling, I said to him. This is the life I want. He didn't respond to me because I saw him messaging that girl. I'll give you the invitation tomorrow. The girl sent back a happy emoji. I also wrote. Wedding countdown 8 days, will we wait for a perfect ending? Of course not. Chapter 11. 6 days before the wedding. That girl updated again. I want to give my first time to him, then I'll have no regrets. The picture was of a hotel card. At this moment, Kevin was cooking in the kitchen. I heard his phone ring. He picked it up, his expression changed, and he glanced at me from the corner of his eye as I sat in the living room, smiling and quietly watching him. He turned off the stove, went out to the balcony. When he came back in, he was already taking off his apron. Something came up at work, I've cooked the meal, you go ahead and eat, I'll be back in a bit. I smiled and asked him. You seem in a rush, are you going on a date with someone? Kevin's eyes avoided mine for a moment, then he pinched my cheek. What are you saying, there really is an urgent matter. And he lied again. I grabbed his sleeve. I'm not feeling well today, can you stay? What's wrong? Kevin touched my face. I pointed to my chest, here. He smirked, kissing my forehead. Little trickster, stop kidding around, I'll be back soon. I'll come back early tonight to be with you. Still, he had to leave. I haven't let him touch me during this time, he must be really anxious. When he left, I quietly followed him. Normally so cautious, how impatient must one be to not notice me following behind all this time? He didn't even park properly, forgot to lock the car. I waited outside, waiting and waiting until midnight, but Kevin didn't come out. Chapter 12. When Kevin came back, I pretended to be asleep. I heard the sound of water splashing in the bathroom, feeling irritated. A lump of anger built up in my chest, making me feel suffocated. After a while, the bed sank beside me, and I found myself being embraced by him. I struggled. "Don't move, I just want to hold you." He kissed my hair as if nothing had happened today. But the thought of his body possibly carrying the scent of another woman made me nauseous. I felt like throwing up. I tightly gripped the bedsheets, trying to hide my emotions. But I couldn't help but bite down on his shoulder. I was in so much pain, I needed to vent, or else I feared I would go crazy. Kevin winced in pain and asked, "Darling, what's wrong with you?" It wasn't until he tasted blood that I let go. He sat up, looking at my pale face with deep concern. "What's going on with you?" During this time, I felt something was off with you, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. "What happened?" "Tell your husband." Looking at his nauseating face, I hesitated. "It's nothing, just feeling a bit stressed before the wedding, afraid of making mistakes." He hugged me back down, his voice low and gentle by my ear. "Whatever it is, I'll be with you through it all. Seeing you in pain hurts me more than anyone else." I stayed silent. He continued, "Darling, how do you imagine our life will be after we get married?" "I don't know. Because we won't be getting married." He chuckled softly. "I used to dream about a future with you every night." "So, when you finally get it, you don't cherish it, is that it?" "I imagine you wearing an apron, making breakfast in the kitchen, with the morning sunlight shining on your cheeks, it must be beautiful. I imagine us having 2 children, one resembling you and one resembling me, the fruits of our love. They will surely grow up well. I want to see your figure in every ordinary day." "Darling, you ask if I would run away from our wedding, how could I possibly do that? I want to be with you for a lifetime, after all, I chased you with my own hands." Kevin, don't deceive yourself. Chapter 13. 3 days before the wedding. I never expected this girl named Tracy to come find me. When I saw her, I finally remembered who she was. She was a girl Kevin's family had financially supported. The girl is quite ambitious, moving from a small village to a big city. She secretly harbored feelings for Kevin. Well, at a young age, encountering a handsome, wealthy, and unattainable man. This man also rescued her from a difficult situation. Who wouldn't like him? "Sister, you liked someone else for 10 years, but I've only liked Kevin for 10 years, so sister, can you not monopolize him, okay?" She had a charming smile as she looked at me, but I couldn't feel any warmth. "Sister, you must have seen what I posted, right?" She knew I had seen her social media accounts. So she smiled again. "Sister, you should also know that we kissed, slept together, and understood each other, all in secret admiration for that person. Kevin and I are more compatible, aren't we?" It felt like a heavy stone was pressing on my heart, making it hard for me to breathe. She provocatively continued. "Women tend to choose someone who loves them slightly more than they love that person. Do you really think he believes you loved someone else for 10 years and then easily fell in love with him? You've only been together for about 5 years. Kevin even told her these things. Yes, after not pursuing Peter, I maintained contact with Kevin as friends for 2 years before confirming our feelings and being together for 3 years. I smiled and lowered my gaze. If you are so confident that he will be with you, then why are you here talking to me? Tracy's face paled, and she immediately retaliated. It's just a matter of time, isn't it? Just like you chose to secretly admire him, and as the wheel turns, he will definitely see the humble me who loves him. Because he sees his past self in me, he will feel sympathetic and compassionate. As long as he's curious about me, I have a chance to win. You, who are in a superior position in this relationship, cannot understand. My palm already had tiny red marks from her nails digging into it. Thinking of Kevin, my heart felt like it was being squeezed in someone's hand, a sharp pain radiating through me. I suppressed the surge of blood rising in my throat, stood up, and looked at her word by word. Don't rush, little sister, what you can't have will always stir up trouble. It's time for you, the secret admirer, to grasp your position. Chapter 14. I leaned against the car, took a deep breath, but couldn't shake off that underlying feeling of oppression. The dull ache in my heart turned into a knife stirring within me, making my hands tremble slightly. I covered my chest, holding back the bitterness in my eyes. No, Sharon, not now. Kevin already feels guilty towards me, it's almost over. During this time, I took him to countless places where we had our firsts to take pictures. I gave him a task to turn it into a photo album representing the years we've spent together. I told him this would be our beautiful memories in the future. As he worked on it, every time he wrote down a location, he would pause for a long time. I know, he is reminiscing. My revenge is real, but those feelings are not fake. I want to use his guilt as a sword to pierce him. Does it hurt? I hurt more than him. Because during those times, my love had no impurities. But I didn't lose either, because I can love and let go. It was just a mistake in judgment. When I came to my senses, there was a bottle of water in front of me. I looked up, Peter was standing in the sunlight. I saw everything, he said. Even so, are you still going to get married? He asked. I didn't take the water from him. He asked, do you regret it? What I have loved are all experiences, I have no regrets. Do you want to consider me? He asked me cautiously. I almost laughed out of anger. Are all men like this? When you offer them your heart on a platter, they dismiss it, but when you withdraw that glaring favoritism, they all rush to tell you they love you. Peter, I've said it countless times, I have no feelings for you anymore. Even if I break up with Kevin in the end, I will not choose you. Why? In this circle, we match all kinds of conditions, not to mention we have known each other for so many years, inside out. I snorted. So, Sharon has to choose between you and Kevin? Is it that I can't live without you too? No, he tried to reach out to me, but I avoided him. Then I heard a familiar voice behind me. What are you guys doing? I turned around, Kevin's face hidden in the shadows with the sunlight at his back, his eyes dark and icy. He exuded a restrained yet powerful aura, his fist landed on Peter's face. Peter reacted in an instant and struck back. Peter, if you dare to lay a hand on Sharon, I'll fucking kill you. Kevin's eyes were bloodshot, full of fury. Peter, unwilling to show weakness, hit him where it hurt. Kevin, what kind of a good person are you? Do you dare to say that when you initially pursued Sharon, it wasn't to spite me? Do you dare to say your feelings for her are pure? I lusted after Sharon, but she never responded to me. What about you? Does she know you have a good little sister outside? In an instant, Kevin stood frozen in place. His face filled with horror as he looked at me. He said, "Wife, listen to me explain." Chapter 15. In the car, Kevin was explaining. He said she was just a girl who liked him, reminding him of his past. There was nothing between them. Kevin held my hand tightly. I have loved you for so many years, we are about to get married, you have to believe me. His grip on my fingers tightened, oddly. The turmoil in my heart slowly subsided. I looked at him calmly. Kevin, how about we don't get married? What? The panic in his eyes seemed genuine. We are getting married in 3 days, darling, don't say things in anger, okay? Kevin, are you feeling regretful? I smiled faintly. Do you think I chose you as a second choice, that I don't love Peter anymore? Do you believe there is always a place in my heart for him? No. It's not like that. Tears fell as I smiled. Kevin, I really like you, like your tenderness and thoughtfulness, like being unique in your eyes, or maybe I just like you for no reason. The way you looked in the rain that day stirred something in me, and I thought maybe it's you. His eyes reddened, voice trembling, he wiped my tears with shaking hands. I know, don't say any more, I always feel like you're breaking up with me. Don't leave me behind, please. Kevin, do you love me? He almost hesitated. Yes, of course, I love you, no one loves you more than I do. But it was you who hurt me. I sniffled. Then I'll believe you this once. After all, it's not time yet. Chapter 16. 2 days before the wedding, Kevin and I returned to our respective homes. As he dropped me off, he held my hand tightly, afraid I might run away. "Sharon, we are getting married, right?" I remained non-committal. He reassured himself. "Of course, we are getting married, we will get married." That night, I secretly returned to the house filled with memories of him and me. I took everything that belonged to me. Even wiped away the strands of hair on the floor. Leaving only the pile of broken gifts he gave me, the torn wedding dress. And the wedding diary and ring. I really wanted to see Kevin's expression when he realized I was gone on the wedding day. It must be very exciting. Chapter 17. The day before the wedding. Tracy updated her status again. "The man I love is getting married tomorrow, but the bride isn't me." The picture showed her wrist cut, lying in a hospital bed. I drove out and stood guard at the hospital entrance wearing sunglasses. Soon, I saw Kevin appear. Tracy suddenly threw herself into his arms. Kevin stood there, not reaching out, but also not pushing her away. From afar, I didn't know what they were saying. Tracy rested her head on his chest, crying incessantly. Strangely, this time I felt nothing in my heart. I suddenly remembered the second year of my relationship with Kevin. When emotions run deep, I asked him, "Will you cheat in the future, fall in love with a younger and more beautiful girl than me?" He rubbed my face gently. "What are you saying? Who could be more beautiful than you? Besides, if I, of all people, could cheat, then there would be no good men left in this world. It's all lies." There was a message from my senior in my phone. "As a PhD, I'm a big shot, you'll love it when you come here. I've been looking forward to your arrival, have you finally figured it out? I thought you were just fooling around. I can't wait, how long until you come? I'll set off fireworks at the airport to welcome you." Watching the two people pouring their hearts out nearby, I lowered my head and replied, "Tonight." All traces of me in Kevin's bridal room had been cleaned up. In the wedding diary, I wrote in advance, "Countdown to the wedding 2 days, I finally understand, one must love oneself first. It's not that I don't deserve to be loved, it's that you don't deserve my love, I have no issues. Countdown to the wedding one day, this time seemed like an opportunity for you, but it was actually for me, so that when we part ways, I won't feel regret. That's why I watched your every move with cold eyes, seeing how you hurt me, how you felt justified, until the moment I looked at you. There was no love left, no ripples, I even started feeling disgusted to the core by you. I've turned the page. Kevin, I've turned the page." Then I packed my bags, turned off my phone. Boarded the plane without looking back. I have to allow some people to appear momentarily in my life. If I love wrong, I will bravely let go, I will boldly move forward, there is always an end to the road. But I am also looking forward. Kevin, I also escaped the wedding tomorrow, are you surprised too? Chapter 18. In my 3rd year in the UK, I was fully immersed in academia and secured a position as an assistant professor. On the eve of graduation, my senior came to me for a drink. "The man I love is getting married tomorrow, but the bride isn't me. I returned to the country a few days ago, guess who I saw?" "Who?" "It's your ex who was playing 2 sides." My senior sister was indignant, that dog of a man found me and was there putting on a show of affection. Hearing about him again, I felt unusually calm. "He found you?" "He didn't find me, anyway, he contacted all the classmates from your university days, but you told me not to disclose your whereabouts to him, and you even had your family block information. He couldn't find a thing. He's quite crazy and deranged, anyway." I clinked my glass with hers. "I don't really care about him anymore. Of course, he's not worth your concern. When I was leaving, he even asked me to bring your wedding dress, saying he's been waiting for you all this time. It's really funny, who asked him to wait?" I shrugged. "It's all in the past anyway. I won't be discontent because the ending doesn't match the process. There's no pain that can't be healed, no sinking that can't end. Over these years, I've long since let go. But he still sneaked this into my backpack, so sneaky. I took it, the photo album he made by hand. It was filled with pictures of us, from being strangers to slowly falling in love. Recording everything since we started dating. Flipping to the last page, his strong handwriting read, "Sharon, I love you." My senior sister also saw it, looking at me with a hint of panic. "Hey, you're not moved, are you?" I closed the album and threw it in the trash. How could I be moved? If I were moved, it would only make me feel like all my efforts were a joke. My senior sister breathed a sigh of relief. But there is something you might find interesting. From my senior sister, I heard Tracy's story, which caused quite a stir in the domestic news. It seemed she was caught red-handed by the original wife when she was the mistress. And now she was trying to clear her name through a live broadcast. However, more dirt on her was dug up, revealing her as a repeat offender. All the posts she made while pursuing Kevin were exposed. Her secret crush diary backfired, and everyone turned against her. I can't believe there are still people who interfere in other people's relationships so shamelessly. If I were the male lead's fiancé, I would just go up and beat her up. The woman is vile, but the man is not innocent either. If he had boundaries, could she have played around so much? So everyone was waiting for the conclusion of this relationship saga. Informed sources said the bride ran away on her wedding day. The groom searched the entire city but couldn't find his missing bride, going insane. Netizens criticized him harshly. My senior sister said, "Let's hope you never encounter these two unlucky things in your life." Chapter 19. As fate would have it, after I finished my outstanding doctoral speech, I saw Kevin backstage. He grabbed my wrist, "Sharon." In my third year in the UK, I was fully immersed in academia and secured a position as an assistant professor. On the eve of graduation, my senior came to me for a drink. "I'm sorry, can you listen to me for a moment?" I withdrew my hand, looking at him with indifference. "Is it important?" His face fell, choked up, almost unable to speak. "Sharon, you can't treat me like this. Even criminals have the chance to testify. You can't just condemn me to death like that." I calmly gazed at the face I once loved. "The predetermined outcome will not change just because you say sorry to me, nor will I forgive you just because you explain." He still persisted. "Do I really have no chance of redemption? Is it meaningful? When you said that disgusting thing Peter only chased me for, we had no future." After some thought, I continued. "Perhaps initially, I went along with you with a hint of retaliation, creating those happy memories you mentioned. I endured those days with a slight expectation of you, but you were still not content, just wanting to embarrass me by running away from the wedding. Kevin, what else is there to say? I don't owe you. I owe you." Kevin urgently explained, the bloodshot eyes more prominent. "It's my debt to you, that's why I came to find you. I wasn't going to run away on that day, I had already decided that you were my bride. The only bride in this lifetime." In the past, when reading novels, seeing the female lead accumulate enough disappointment and leave the male lead, I would eagerly anticipate the husband chasing her, feeling regret, guilt, and realizing the importance of the female lead as his greatest punishment. But now, this scenario was happening to me, yet it didn't feel as vindictive as imagined. Perhaps because their regretful emotions compared to the genuine feelings I had invested weren't really worth mentioning. Our relationship had already ended 3 years ago, you should leave. Chapter 20. Kevin didn't leave, he bought the apartment across from mine and moved in. He would come to my school every day, stubbornly following me for half a year, with the attitude of wanting to spend the rest of his life with me. Sometimes, in frustration, I would scold him. "Kevin, stop with the outdated affection, okay?" His eyes reddened instantly. "Sharon, please, don't treat me like this, please? I shouldn't have been mean, I shouldn't have said those hurtful words, I shouldn't have thought about embarrassing you by running away from the wedding. I truly love you, it's just my ridiculous pride that made me unwilling to let go. I know I was wrong. Please, don't reject me." I felt calm inside, even finding it somewhat amusing. Kevin, you're really quite boring like this. I continued to ignore him. But what I hadn't expected was Peter somehow finding out about his situation and following him here. Sometimes, I felt they both deserved to be in the same circle, both having performative personalities. If I was a murderer in a past life, that's how I could end up encountering these two lunatics in this life. On Christmas Day, both of them invited me to celebrate together. I agreed. I wanted to make things clear to them once and for all. Kevin had reserved a restaurant, and as I stepped inside, the whole place was filled with camellia flowers. His joy was genuine on his face, but upon seeing Peter appear behind him, the color drained from his face instantly. "Why are you here?" Peter coldly snorted. "She asked me to come." I placed my bag on the table and lifted my chin. "Both of you, sit down." "Sharon." Kevin called out to me. "Let's clear things up once and for all today. We've known each other for 18 years. We're all 30 now, let's not play these childish games." I looked at Peter. "I appreciate what you did for me when I was helpless, but maybe what I liked was just that light and not you. When you showed no response and didn't bother with me, I let go of that liking. So, Peter, I don't owe you anything. I'll tell you this, your obsession with me now is just because that obedient, timid girl has grown up and no longer needs any protection, and isn't revolving around you. You can't accept that. I'm not a toy for your petty competition, so Peter, leave. It's better for both of us." Peter looked at me silently and then turned and walked away. Watching his back, I felt as if for a moment, I had traveled back in time and saw my 12-year-old self, injured and insecure, hiding in the bathroom. But this time, he didn't come to save me. This time, I had finally learned to fight back. It took a while, but it wasn't too late, was it? "Sharon. I know you liked me once, really loved me with all your heart." Kevin seemed to realize what I was going to say, his face filled with anguish. The emotions regarding Kevin might be a bit more complicated. I paused. "Regarding Tracy." He urgently explained. "I never loved her, never touched her." I nodded. "Yes, you just wanted to vent your frustration towards me, especially as the wedding approached, you felt more and more trapped. I won't lie to you. I was happy, sad, bitter, and sweet during those 5 years with you. It was the feeling of love, it was my experience. I even thought about spending the rest of my life with you. But sometimes, life is unpredictable. I heard those words, I acted with you, I retaliated fiercely against what you wanted to do to me. Stop it, Sharon. 18 years, you ask me to give up, how can I give up?" Kevin choked up, tears streaming down. "What should I do for you to forgive me? Please, tell me." I sighed. "The three of us have been entangled for too long, we can't find happiness. Moreover, just like that wedding dress, once it's torn, it can't be repaired. A remake won't fit right. That's the ending between you and me." I stood up. "So, don't come looking for me anymore. I can't bear your love. I won't turn back either." He painfully ran his fingers through his hair. "The future is so long, isn't there a chance for me at all?" I smiled at him. "Kevin, did you receive the painting from your favorite artist that I sent you when I was 23? He paused for a moment, tears finally running down his cheeks. "We really have no relationship at all now, do we?" I remained silent. Turning around was my answer. To miss is to miss, I occasionally feel regret, but I won't regret. As I closed the door, Kevin was still standing there motionless. But I knew, everything had come to an end. All things have their appointed time, encounters come and go like wind and rain, difficult matters will eventually be resolved, and all things will eventually go as planned. I also wish myself to enjoy life to the fullest in the vast sea of life. Because there will always be someone who fills my countless dreams.
Kevin's Extra. Chapter 1. The day before the wedding, for some reason, I felt particularly anxious. A message popped up in the group chat on my phone. "Kevin, are you really going to get married tomorrow? Give us a definite answer." Yeah, we might as well go watch the fun, record Sharon's reaction, it's bound to be exciting. Opening and closing my phone, not a single message from Sharon had been sent. I felt a bit restless. I posted in the group. Before getting married, do the women usually not contact the men? Bro, none of us have been married, how would we know? But generally speaking, they must be so happy they can't sleep, whispering sweet nothings to you on video call, right? Not necessarily, what if she's shy? Kevin, by asking this, are you planning to get married tomorrow? Am I? The things I've been doing with Sharon during this time keep floating in my mind. My heart skipped a beat. A clear voice inside me told me that I wanted to marry her. I wasn't playing around. I was serious. After all these years, I had also put in my sincere efforts. I wanted to see her in loose pajamas, hugging her legs, watching movies on the carpet. I also wanted to see her pout and say, I can't cook, Kevin, can you help me? Even more, I wanted to see her all small and curled up in my arms, blushing and calling me a rogue with just a few sweet words. Vibrant, lovely, beautiful Sharon. In our shared home. I wanted to be with her forever. Thinking this, I gave her a call, only to hear that her phone was switched off. Something felt off. After asking in the group, they said she might have been too tired and went to sleep early. After all, getting married is a big project. Perhaps that's the case. I posted in the group. Tomorrow I'm getting married, none of you are allowed to skip it. Not running away from the wedding now, huh, Kevin? Oh, Kevin's just joking, how could he really not get married, losing face by running away from it for real? I turned off my phone, thinking about how Sharon would look in a wedding dress. She must look beautiful. It's just a pity that the customized wedding dress was ruined. But it didn't matter, no matter what she wore, she would be the most beautiful bride. I thought, Kevin, from now on, put away those little tricks and reluctance, and live a good life with her. Chapter 2. The atmosphere at the wedding was very strange. I couldn't quite describe the feeling. All the processes were going as planned, the host was on stage, but my mind was elsewhere. I didn't see Sharon. My heart was beating fast, a feeling that something big was about to happen. When the host said it was time for the groom to say something, I suddenly snapped out of it, realizing there was no such segment. But the surround sound system at the venue had already started playing audio. I almost couldn't stand still, uncontrollably trembling. It was the words I said that day on the cruise. I purposely disgusted Peter just to pursue Sharon. After winning her over, I felt it was meaningless. But I was reluctant, so I thought, isn't it fun to run away from the wedding and make her lose face? There was an uproar in the venue. Then videos started flashing on the big screen. The girl kissing me, although I dodged it at the time, was captured perfectly. She posted the hotel room number on social media, with a figure of me going in. She said she wanted to commit suicide. I just told her not to do anything stupid, comforting her because I was afraid she wouldn't give up. As fellow strugglers in life, I understand the bitterness of silently loving someone. And the photo of her crying while hugging me at the hospital entrance, that was when she decided to give up on me. I couldn't bear to push her away. Nothing had really happened between us. But for some reason, at this moment, my heart seemed to shatter into countless pieces. Sharon knew. She knew everything. She knew I didn't want to get married, yet she still accompanied me in this charade. Suddenly, memories of our time together flooded back. She gave me many chances. And finally, she had gathered enough disappointment to leave. Kevin, you have let her down. You really deserve to die. Chapter 3. I got into a fight with Peter. You're really not a decent person. He punched me in the face. Feeling emotional, I retaliated fiercely. And what about you, huh? Peter sneered. Yeah, I'm not a good person. I missed out on a great girl for 10 years, I regret it, so what? Kevin, do you know how envious I was of you back then? I never got her, I hurt her. I thought you were different, but you turned out to be such a jerk. She was with you for 3 years, not 3 days. And you treat her like this? I sat dejectedly on the ground, unable to imagine what she felt when she heard those words from me. She probably felt dead inside, so she quietly ran away from the wedding. She left without saying a word to me. But as I left the wedding venue in a daze, I received a gift that was custom made 3 years ago. It was from my favorite painter. In the painting, everything was silent. A slender girl sat on the ground, tears filling her eyes, looking up at the boy holding an umbrella. That was us at 23. It was Sharon at 25, painted on the day we confirmed our relationship. After 3 years, it finally reached my hands. The card read, "This is the gift 25-year-old Sharon gave to future Kevin." Perhaps at that moment, I heard the sound of my heart beating. Holding the painting, I couldn't speak, tears streaming down my face. Would 23-year-old Kevin want to kill 28-year-old him? Chapter 4. I became the laughingstock of the entire city of B. They said my bride ran away at the highly publicized wedding, leaving 2 men fighting for her, neither of them good guys. They said a jerk like me shouldn't have messed with her. I didn't listen to anything. I desperately wanted to see her again. I searched all over B City, but couldn't find a trace of her. Finally, I realized that when I disappeared, and she tried to find me, she must have been filled with despair. It was as if she deliberately erased all traces of herself. No one knew where she went. I tried to find information, but all I got back was, "Kevin, please don't make things difficult for me." Yeah, when she heard those words from me, she had already started planning her escape. How could I possibly find her? It was my fault. Real departure isn't about making a scene, but leaving quietly. Sharon, she really gave up on me. When I realized this, the bitterness in my heart was almost corrosive. I returned to the bridal chamber. Every trace of her presence was gone. It was deliberate. Deliberately leaving me with no room for nostalgia. Cutting off abruptly and ruthlessly from my life. She was truly merciless. I searched through every room. Finally, in the study, I found what she had left behind. It was the gift I had given her, all shattered. In this way, she wanted to draw a clear boundary with me, telling me that she was disgusted by the things I gave her. And there was the wedding dress we had custom made in Italy. A long, deep scratch, extending from the waist to the hem. I remember half a year ago when we went to have it made, she was so excited, dancing around, saying she had finally waited for this designer. She said she wanted to be my most beautiful bride on our wedding day. Her eyes were sparkling back then. But for the sake of so-called dignity. For the sake of so-called resentment and revenge. I hurt the person I loved, hurt her sincerity. Many times, I failed to understand that Sharon's feelings for me were genuine, intense, and she wanted a future with me. We had countless nights intertwined, speaking the most beautiful words of love, promising to be together forever. But I lost her. My ridiculous pride, just because she once liked someone else, drove me mad with jealousy. I forgot that we once had the most beautiful memories together. Those pre-wedding diaries were proof of her love for me, but now they felt like sharp knives piercing my heart. As I flipped through them, tears flowed uncontrollably. I held onto that wedding dress tightly, tears silently falling in the empty house. I wanted to spend the rest of my life making it up to her, but she would never see me again. Chapter 5. I started drinking heavily and not going home, using this method to numb myself. I told everyone that I was married, that I had a wife, she was beautiful, and I had liked her for over 10 years before finally winning her over. I often cried and laughed looking at the chat records with her on my phone. They all said I was insane. I wasn't crazy, I just missed her too much. Tracy came to find me again. I didn't see her, she was relentless. Finally, she caught the opportunity and came to the bar to confront me. "Kevin, what are you doing?" "What am I doing?" "I'm drinking." After Sharon left, I lost interest in everything. I dare not return to that house, it's filled with memories of her but lacks her presence. Emotions with no outlet can only be relieved through drinking, indulgence is the only way to find solace. Tracy, leave me alone, okay? She came up and hugged me. She's so old, wasted so much of your time, why don't you look at me? I'm young, the key is that I love you. I've loved you wholeheartedly for 10 years. You're the only one in my eyes and heart. I'm much cleaner than her. Clean? I pushed her away fiercely, feeling a tinge of bitterness in my eyes. I haven't slept well. Every time I close my eyes, I see Sharon's figure. I thought I would feel pleasure after getting back at her, but no, all I feel is a suffocating heartache. From the age of 12 to 28, 16 years. I actually lost her. I regret it so much. I truly regret it. Without warning, I covered my face and broke down in tears. Tracy tried to come over. I looked up coldly at her. If you don't want to disappear from B City, just leave. And also, the financial support from my family to you stops here. That night, I returned to the bridal chamber with Sharon. I lay on the floor of the study, hugging the wedding dress tightly. Chapter 6. 3 years later, I received news that she had completed her PhD. Without a second thought, I flew over. I wanted to see her, to apologize. But she was distant and indifferent towards me. It seemed like she really didn't love me anymore. I couldn't believe it. How could she stop loving me after all those years of love? So I stayed, hoping to win her back as I did back then. A good woman fears a relentless man. As long as I humble myself, her tender heart will see me, right? But she truly didn't want to see me. Later, Peter also came. I had let go of my feelings towards him. Looking back over time, I realized how ridiculous my jealousy was. Sharon invited us to have a conversation, to lay everything out. After 18 years of love, she said she didn't want it anymore. I finally understood. Peter and I both lost. It was me who fell for her first, it was me who had her, but I lost completely. Years went by. Every year, I would fly to England many times, just hoping to catch a glimpse of her from afar. When I turned 35, I saw her holding a little pink ball sitting on an outdoor chair. The sunlight kissed her face through the clouds, and the little girl's features were so much like hers. From afar, a handsome tall man bought ice cream and handed it to her. She smiled, still so beautiful. Just not for me, not mine anymore. When I turned around, I saw Peter standing behind me, watching them silently as well. After a while, the family of 3 disappeared into the streets, and then Peter spoke. Sharon shouldn't have known both of us. He glanced sideways. Kevin, when you were jealous of me back then, did you ever think that one day I would be jealous of you? But in the end, neither of us held her hand. I sighed softly. Peter, we are both bastards. Bastards don't deserve love. For the rest of my life, I only hope she can be safe, happy, and healthy. In a future without us.